Okay, high school painting. Today I'm going to be demonstrating to you guys how to use the watercolor techniques for your project A choice. You can see right here what I have is just a basic sketch where I've laid out main boundaries. I want to show you here, this is the sketch that I put in my sketchbook so you guys can see this is how yours should look. Should say what your theme is and what the project is you've chosen to do with your theme. So I did project A, which is the watercolor. Okay, I want you to see that your sketch does not have to be really thorough, but it does need to have a main mapping of what your picture system is going to be. Okay, you might also want to add color if that's something that you feel like you need to help plan. So what I've done then, after I have drawn it out, I picked up the paper you guys will be using, which is on the shelf that I've shown you, the 10" by 15" watercolor. I've also taped it down onto a backing board because once you paint with watercolor, it's going to get ripply. So make sure that when you do that, you tape it down and leave a nice 1/4 inch boundary to give your image a nice frame. Now, one of the techniques I'm going to show you that I've already applied is the masking liquid, as you can see. This is located in the watercolor cabinet. Okay, it has a very awful smell, so just prepare yourselves. And I have used one of the brushes that was in the container with it. It's rubbery and it never really comes out of the brushes, so don't use any brush other than the ones that are already with it. Okay, the masking liquid helps you to protect your paper and leave areas white so that you will not have to worry about too much color getting in there. So you don't have to use this, but it's a nice choice if you don't want to worry about getting it too muddied or too strong of color. As you can see, I've applied it just in areas that I want to have some highlights or remain white in my image. Okay? If you get in an area you don't want it, like right here I got this big drop, you simply rub kind of like after it's dried for about at least an hour, and then you can pull it right up and you can see how right there it got that piece, and then you just need to throw it away. So if you apply it, it's likely you're not going to be able to paint anything until the next day once it's dried, and make sure you put it on the drying rack. Okay, so now what I have is my masking liquid has dried and I'm ready to start painting. Remember, you're going to be accessing the watercolor cabinet just to pick up your colors. These are the colors I've chosen. You, depending on what you're doing, might use different or the same colors. It really doesn't matter. It just depends on what you want to do. I always make sure to start with at least my 3 primary colors so I can mix other colors. And then I have some sort of a light brown color for the underpainting, which is the other step I'm going to show you. So now that I have my paint out and I have a cup with some water to get started, I'm going to show you how to do an underpainting. An underpainting is just exactly that, okay? I'm going to use some of this brown and kind of just get it ready to flow. All this helps me to do is to kind of build up some of the shadows and things that I want to be able to see. So, for example, the tree is going to have many different layers of brown in it, okay? Many different shades of brown to make it look more realistic. But I just want to get a nice general value laid out with my brown here. And by doing this, I can map out where I want things to go. And as you can see, my masking liquid is resisting the watercolor there, so it will help me to keep some of those highlights very strong. Okay? Hopefully you can see by looking at my sketch, it's very, very light, and I didn't press hard. You don't want to be putting deep grooves in your paper when you're just creating a boundary sketch. So I know that there's like these hills here, and they're going to have some different layers. And I'm going to leave some areas white too in this underpainting. This is why I like to use a brown, because you can apply other colors on top of it. And it's not going to cause too much difficulty. Notice that I'm using a very watered down, low pigment mixture here so that I can add other colors on top. Okay, I have some dark figures here that I know are going to be one of the darker parts of my picture. So I'm going to go ahead and block them out so that I can see their shape a little stronger than some of the other shapes. And since they're going to be black in my final picture, it's alright that I'm putting the brown first because it'll kind of protect it. So as you can see, this is just mapping out some of my values. Now I have these little columns here up in the left. They've already been covered with the masking liquid so that I know I'm going to have areas that stay nice, crisp, and white. So I'm going to add just a little bit of value in there. The thing with watercolor is you don't have to be specific. You don't have to have perfect lines. You're just suggesting, and you can let your color be very minimal, but also very effective. So you can see how it's starting to just kind of fill in my picture plane, and what this is going to do is going to give me a little bit more guidance when I get to adding color. Okay. You might want to just give some of these little figures that I have here a light little dusting, just so I can remember that they're there. Okay, so that would be your first step for like day 1 and 2 of watercolor. I'm going to let this dry, and then on my next video I'm going to show you how to do those other last techniques.